Hi everyone, we have gathered here to do the week 2 assignments for visualization, and we thought to do it as a group exercise where everybody will get to present one slide each. The team members are Priyanka Singh, Gopika Shaji, Saurabh Bist, Devi Ratnasuri, and Oluvol Ayodhya. I'll be presenting the first slide, moving to the next slide. We had to define the use cases of decision tree, process map, and fishbone diagram. So decision tree is a flowchart that works through all possible response options in a scenario to analyze resulting outcome in a logical and visual way flow. So decision trees are useful for data analytics and machine learning because it breaks down complex data into more manageable parts. It's often used for strategic decision planning and worst case scenario analysis, classification and regression. It analyzes the effect of the significance change throughout different areas of business. We have listed the steps to draw this decision tree. So we draw the decision nodes with the branching representing decision alternatives. We draw the chance node with the respective state of outcomes. We estimate the probability of each outcome and evaluate decision tree. We calculate the value at each node and work backwards and calculate the value at the decision node. Now moving over to the process map. Process map is visually described as the flow of work to show a series of events that produces an end result. So it's basically from start till end and lists down all the processes. It's useful for organization and businesses to improve efficiency. They provide insights into process, help brainstorm ideas to process improvement, increase communication, and provide documentation. Again, we have listed the steps to draw process maps. First is to identify the problem and process that needs to be visualized, brainstorm the activities involved, figure out the boundaries when and where the process started and stopped, determine the sequence of steps, draw the basic flowchart symbols, and finalize the process flowchart by reviewing it with these other stakeholders and taking their consensus. The next one is fishbone diagram. So it's a visual way to look at as a cause and effect. It's in the form of fish where it starts with the possible cause and then sorting ideas into useful categories. So by looking at the categories, we examine the alternative cause and we try to uncover the possible causes for an issue that might otherwise not be able to consider. The steps to draw the fishbone diagrams are, we agree on the problem statement, also known as effect, and draw the box around the problem statement. Then we draw the horizontal line running through it. Then we agree on the major categories, on the causes of the problem and the branches from the main row to the fish main center. Then we brainstorm all the possible causes of the problem, write down ideas as they branch from appropriate category and several places if they relate to several categories. We write sub-causes, branching off the causes, generate deeper level of understanding of the causes, and then the causal relationship between them. We focus on attention on places where ideas are few, and we again identify and address the root cause of the future problems. So this slides actually talks about all the three uh, process of risk management. Moving to the next slide.
All right, now coming over to the slide 3. Basically, the scenario was mainly centered around Greg, which was to perform the project. Now, the background of the Greg is that he's been doing the projects for 33 years in the same company. Now he has to present a project and he also has to present the timeline for the project. So considering the first process that is for decision tree, we assumed the participation of Greg and the consulting firm as the ratio of 60 to 40, where Greg's participation will be 60% and the consulting firm's participation will be 40% for the project. And our base assumption is around the timeline of the project. So let's just consider first assumption. For completion of the project in 1 year, cost of the project is going to be maximum. Thus, the engagement of Greg in leading the project will be the highest, making the budget for the project to be $5 million. That is the maximum. Considering the second scenario, the time of completion of the project will be 2 years. Greg will engage in the project with 50 level % of engagement. That is only for the 1 year, while the rest of the project will be completed via consulting, which will cost around $2 million. Lastly, maximum timeline will be 20% of Greg's engagement, which would take around more time to complete, but with lesser capital, which is $1 million. So representing each of the scenario as a node over decision tree, comparison will states as it states that the best expected value is 2.6, which where completing the project is 1 year is most favorable, while 5 year project timeline is least favorable. So I would like my other team members to continue over.
So I will explain for the continuation from the previous slide. And as you can see, is the fish diagram. We developed this mind map to identify additional risk area. So the first one is consulting firm analysis. By this, we are determining the consulting firm offering the services, and then the timeline and resources, quality management. And then the second one is product feasibility. So in this process, we are brainstorming the product usage. And then the third one is price strategy. We are negotiating the rates for the best services. And then we launch preparation. And this part, we are deciding sorry, we are deciding the final project deadline and associate risks. And then the next step, it will be product schedule. We will be determining the product release timeline and then release the version time frame as well. And then the last step is product positioning. In this part, we will reiterating to make continuous improvement. So I'll give it to my next partner, Kopika, to present the next slide.
Thank you. So I like to present the difference between exploratory and explanatory analysis. So in the exploratory analysis, we are trying to derive the useful insights from the data that we want to communicate to the audience, the stakeholders. So in brief, in this stage, we are turning the data into information. But in explanatory analysis, we are concisely briefing out all the facts that we found in the exploratory analysis. So the presenters might be confused between these two, and it's a natural urge to convey all the things that we found in the exploratory analysis, and that might be a mistake. So it should be concise, and we are presenting only the facts and insights that we found in the exploratory analysis. Also, the relationship that we have with the stakeholder and the trust they have on us, that that determines how the communication is structured, and it also has an impact on the overall flow of our story, the whole presentation. And also, it's important to motivate our stakeholder group while we present to them. So we can encourage discussion by pointing out a lead to one of them, or we can suggest some next steps, or then we can wait for their reaction. Also, we can use some thought starters like begin agree establish to encourage audience to take next steps. So that's it. So I move to David. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you very much, Gupika. So I'll be talking on the next slide. Okay, yeah. So as a team, we're given a scenario to discuss. We're given a scenario to discuss about approach, decision, keywords, and research would do to influence orders on our project. So down here we've listed some things we'll be doing. So we started with building data understanding. First of all, we need to understand the data we're going to be presenting. We went on to finding out what might be relevant or essential to highlight. So we believe if we get relevant data, we're going to gain the confidence of the stakeholders. So we went more to finding more about the audience and decision maker. So so there are different ways to approach different decision makers. So if we know the exact decision maker we're working with, we will know how to prepare for them. So also went to being able to constantly articulate what needs to convey. So passing out the relevant information. And also went to we also went to the next one, that is giving giving story with data-driven evidence. So we impute data in all our stories and give them data as evidence. So we also listed that we should determine the risk and address them proactively. So like I believe if we tell them the risk at hand, they will be more prepared for it than them knowing it in the future. And we also went to determine the success outcome. So we will determine the success outcome and put a significant content on the message. So with this we believe the stakeholders are not going to like cancel our initiative. So I'll pass it on to our group leader to finish the presentation. Thank you.
So this finishes us with the assignment part. Thank you, everyone, for pitching in. And